There's a battle going on in Congress right now to pass Donald's so-called big beautiful bill. Before we get to that, I want to say something about the name of this horrific thing, and how embarrassing it is that Republican members of Congress continue to refer to it as the big beautiful bill. One, it isn't beautiful at all. It is going to destroy the lives of many people, which we're going to get to. So I have a suggestion. It's also confusing because the acronym BBB could also stand for Build Back Better, which of course was Biden's bill to make the country better. So my suggestion is this: let's call it the big abominable bill. Also, it's like kind of a callback to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Anyway, the Congressional Budget Office just dropped a bombshell. Take a look at this.
This is a long-awaited estimate from the official bean counters on Capitol Hill, the Congressional Budget Office, and they are projecting that the House passed bill, as it was written and passed by the House, would increase the deficit by $2.4 trillion over the next decade. And let's just put that in perspective. For Republicans and conservatives specifically who wanted this bill to show more spending cuts than it ultimately did, this could be a problem for some of those Republicans.
Yeah, could it, you think? By the way, I'm sure the Congressional Budget Office will be attacked by people in the Trump regime, but it is a completely nonpartisan entity. And we know this because, as we just heard in that report, it's full of bean counters. They just want to get the numbers right. So, for a regime purportedly obsessed with fiscal responsibility, this budget bill would actually add $2.4 trillion to the deficit. Right now, the United States carries about $29 trillion in public debt. So, why is it okay for the Republicans to add even more? And why is it happening? Like, what is the reason for that $2.4 trillion addition to the federal deficit? Well, Republicans are using this as an opportunity to slash taxes for the ultra wealthy individuals and corporations alike while tanking federal revenue. The New York Times reports that conservatives, so called, and Wall Street investors are already worried. Some Senate Republicans say they cannot support the bill in its current form because, again, it's abominable. And remember, if even 3 GOP senators vote no, this whole thing is going to collapse because they only have a 53-47 advantage in the Senate. But the backlash is not just among Senate Republicans. House Republicans who voted for this bill are now acting as if they didn't know what was in it. Although actually, some of them probably didn't because I'm not entirely sure they can read. Speaking of which, Marjorie Greene is not really the type to admit she's wrong, even at her most evil. But this bill is such an obvious disaster that even she is trying to make excuses for the fact that she voted for it. Buried in the bill is a 10-year moratorium on states regulating artificial intelligence. Green posted this, quote, "Full transparency. I did not know about this section. Would have voted no if I had known this was in there," unquote. Well, that's kind of your job. Anyway, she's not alone. At a town hall last week, Nebraska Representative Mike Flood admitted to constituents that he had no idea the bill limited the power of federal judges to hold people in contempt for violating court orders. The bill is, to be fair, 1,116 pages long. And that's what happens when you try to put together these omnibus packages. They get absolutely unreadable. Okay, but again, one, it's their job to know what's in bills they're voting for. And two, it's their job to understand what's in the bills they're voting for. And finally, these people actually have staff that we, the American taxpayer, and their constituents pay for. So not being prepared is inexcusable. This pushback in the House would have been much more useful before they voted on the bill, though. Like, seriously, so what difference does it make that they are now admitting they didn't know? Because the die is cast, unless, of course, the Senate sends it back to the House, and then we'll have to see what happens. However, the loudest backlash against the big abominable bill has been coming from, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with Donald and Elon Musk at the moment, but let's just, for the sake of shorthand, call them frenemies. Seemingly out of left field, Musk has put himself center stage in this fight, saying that House Republicans should be ashamed of themselves. I don't actually like agreeing with Elon Musk, but in this case, yes, I do. Where House Republicans should be ashamed of themselves. But for many, many reasons, and I'm pretty sure Elon Musk and I do not agree on the reasons for that. In a recent tirade, Musk called the bill, quote unquote, an abomination and pork filled. And he ripped into Republicans for voting on a bill that is going to explode the deficit. He even tweeted a Kill Bill movie poster, very subtle, to urge the Senate to shut it down. Quick aside, isn't Elon Musk supposed to be completely out of American politics? Yeah. Anyway, the reason for Musk's tantrum, well, reportedly, he wanted to stay at the White House last week, and his request was rejected. Since then, he has been rage posting nonstop, torching Republicans, and calling out their hypocrisy. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson tried calling Musk out yesterday, but Musk ignored him, which again is something I agree with Elon Musk about. Ignore Mike Johnson. But apparently, he is not giving up, no matter how annoyed he currently is. Take a look at Mike Johnson here.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to get into details for personal conversations, but
You've already
it's
spoken.
ongoing.
You spoken this morning?
No, I'm going to call Elon right now.
Could I ask you, so I mean, based on this White House meeting, they have problems with some of the tax on tips, the overtime, SALT, IRA, I mean, the Senate. I mean, it does seem like, it seems like you guys are farther apart than you would like to be, certainly than you would like to be.
Things are not always what they seem, okay? There's very fruitful conversations going on between the senators in the White House and between all of us. So I'm just as optimistic as I've been from the beginning. I'm convinced we're going to meet this deadline that we've stated to get at the president's desk by Independence Day. And there's a lot of work going on around the clock for that.
Couple of quick things. First of all, can we go back to ignoring that guy? He's just vile. All right, there's that. Secondly, why is he so eager to have a conversation with Elon Musk? I mean, who is Elon Musk? He has no power. Why does he have a say in anything? Did you guys know this? The Speaker of the House is the second most powerful person in the United States government. And that guy, that fake Christian sycophant, is crawling on his hands and knees to get the blessing of a man who knows nothing about the government and how it's run and should have absolutely no say in what happens with this bill. GOP aides, of course, told Axios that they're hoping Musk just doesn't understand how great the bill is, which is completely unlikely. It's probably because there just so happens to be a very devastating measure that would be a blow to Musk's businesses amongst all of the other horrors. I mean, that I don't have a problem with. But there are so many horrors in the bill that we are going to need to go through all of them. But first, before we get into that, just remember, we here at Mary Trump Media are not corporate media. We don't bend the knee. We are not for sale now, and we never will be. We expose the lies the Trump regime tells every day and wants to keep buried. Independent media survives because of you. So please like and share our videos. And if you support our mission, please subscribe to our channel. So what is in this bill? Well, essentially, it's a swamp monster. It's huge. It's devastating. And a lot of the most devastating elements of it are hidden. It guts incentives for things like clean energy, meaning no more tax credits for electric vehicles, solar, or sustainability. All of those things directly affect Elon Musk's bottom line. Meanwhile, it eliminates taxes on gun manufacturers. Yes, because we don't have enough guns in this country, and we need to make them cheaper and more accessible, and we need to make gun manufacturers richer. So, no clean air, lots of weaponry. The bill also targets the most vulnerable, which is probably the one thing about it Elon Musk likes. it imposes harsh new work requirements on SNAP recipients, meaning millions of low-income Americans could lose food assistance. I guess people who are struggling financially don't need to eat. It's even worse when it comes to Medicaid. Under this bill, over 8 million people would lose coverage thanks to new work restrictions. This is going to affect Americans across the country in deeply significant ways. Audrey Presby and Jeremy Fraser, a couple with Down syndrome, explained how these Medicaid cuts could devastate them. And they told us about this on their podcast, The Audrey and Jeremy Show.
We use our voice to advocate what is right for us, to not cut Medicaid. It was a point for people with actual disabilities.
So it's the primary health insurance for the majority of individuals with disabilities.
Correct.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do is cut $880 billion.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
so you can't do that without cutting some of Medicaid. But
Yeah.
it's so important because, yeah, you guys, that's how you have all your programs. That's how you get
Correct.
your insurance.
Yep.
So what would happen if, they did cut it?
We will lose all of the support. We will lose having a Medicaid. Like, I have medicine that helps me move my body every day, which is part of Medicaid. That if they cut that, I won't have my medicine that could help me every day.
Mm-hmm.
I won't have financials. I won't have programs to help me have an independent life.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to hurt me a lot when they do that.
Hopefully, that's why we got to tell them don't do it.
The bill also shutters the CDC's Global Health Unit, ending U.S. support for vaccinations abroad, including things like polio and measles. However, there's going to be plenty of money for 10,000 new ICE agents who are going to be in charge of deporting in excess of 1 million people. So yes, ICE agents, cruel deportations, no money to protect people against diseases like polio and the measles that we had almost eradicated. There's still tons of money for tax breaks if you're rich enough. $1.4 trillion for extending the alternative minimum tax exemption. $809 billion for pass-through businesses. Kind of like, let's see, what's it called? Oh yeah, the Trump Organization. $212 billion from raising the estate tax exemption to $15 million. This isn't about helping working Americans. And how do we know this? Because the three things I just mentioned are things that will not impact almost every single one of us listening to this program right now. This is about punishing working Americans in order to help, as if they need it, the wealthiest among us. Americans living with medical challenges or disabilities, those facing hunger, those concerned about our environment. All of these are sacrificed in order to benefit the rich and increase Donald's power. Okay, is there any good news here? Well, honestly, not if this bill passes in the Senate, although that's looking less and less likely. And that is the good news. We're starting to see fissures appearing and widening within the Republican Party. Now, some of that has to do with the fact that there are those in the House of Representatives and in the Senate who think the bill doesn't go far enough in being cruel to the American people. And that's the camp Elon Musk is in. However, there are Republicans in both the House and the Senate who do care. Do they care about working Americans? Do they care about poor Americans? Do they care about the environment? Do they care about feeding hungry children? No, they don't give a shit about those things at all. They do care about getting reelected, however, and a lot of them won't be if they support this big, abominable bill. So it's time for us to put pressure on the most vulnerable Republicans who are in districts and in states that are not going to take this lying down. Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.